Hello, everyone. I'm Melissa McAllister, and you're listening to the Melissa M.A.D.E Show. Now, for decades, I've dedicated myself to helping women break the cycle of dieting, navigate through all the fads, and change their lives through my nutrition coaching. Now, each week, I'm going to talk about everything from deep nutrition, mindset, self-care, the ideal workout routine, tips on how and why to implement intermittent fasting in your life, my favorite recipes that are not only crowd pleasers, but they're actually healthy for you, and so much more. Now, with small and consistent changes, you can defy aging while living a happier, healthier, and more heart-filled life. I'm so excited to show you it's possible with the right strategies that are so simple to adopt. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Melissa M.A.D.E Show. Now, today I want to talk to you about weight loss. And I don't want to, just talk to you about the typical calorie restriction and to exercise a little bit more. That's obvious. And, I have to put that disclaimer in here. All the things I'm going to talk about are kind of secondary to you just choosing to eat healthier food, that you're going to be active and get some exercise in most days, and that you're going to not eat too much food. Calorie counting in and of itself, I just don't think is ever enough, especially when you're trying to get healthy as opposed to just get skinny. But we always have to take into consideration that you eat too much, your body's going to store that extra energy. I remember reading in a book, and I can't, I think I know who said this, but I'm hoping to get him on the podcast, so I'm not going to say who it is. But I remember reading a gentleman talking about how he wanted to dispel that calories matter. And so he ate like 5,000 calories a day for a month and didn't gain any weight. I don't know about that. That's an experiment I would love to do. I think my ego gets in the way, though, because I don't know. What if I'm wrong and I gain a bunch of weight? Then I guess that proves the point, right? But I do think that it matters, the quality of food, 100%, because to be honest with you, here lately, with all the traveling that I'm doing, I have eaten more calories than I normally do. And I put on a little bit of weight. But I, from the bottom of my heart, believe that if they were highly refined and highly ultra processed foods, I'd have gained more weight, because I just have too much information in my head to allow myself to eat an exuberant amount of poor quality food. I really know what it does to the body. And being the huge empath that I am, I'm even empathetic to myself. I'm empathetic to my heart. I'm empathetic to my kidneys and my liver. If I know I'm drinking too much or eating really poorly, I feel bad for my body. So there's one tip for you. If you want to, stay at a healthy weight, then become more empathetic to yourself. But anyway, so I'm going to just kind of go through a few things that are really important to helping you on your weight loss journey, and then also to help you keep the weight off. Like I said, above and beyond just weighing your food, counting calories, exercising for, 30 to 60 minutes a day. And the first one that I want to talk about is beverages. So we all need to drink plenty of water, but water does get boring. And, I really want you to limit, any drinks that have, a ton of artificial flavorings and colorings and sweeteners in them. And so there are some drinks out there that will actually help very minusculely, but you have to drink anyway. And if you enjoy them, drink plenty of them, and you might actually see a very small difference in your weight loss efforts. And I'm talking right now, of course, coffee's one, but I really want to talk about tea. And I'm always going to link the studies below when I talk about this kind of stuff. But your mate is a tea that has been shown to help aid in weight loss. And I hope I'm saying it right, Yerba. It's YERBEMATE, and it's a pretty potent tea, but it's got polyphenols in it. It's got antioxidants in it. It's got caffeine in it. And of course, another one is green tea. And my favorite, of course, is peak tea. I think it's the highest quality tea that you can get. And green tea has been also shown to aid in weight loss, fat loss. And so both of those can be beneficial. And guess what? Heaven forbid you don't lose weight drinking them. They're still phenomenally good for you. And I just think it's something that, you can work into your daily routine. You could drink it cold, you can drink it hot, and just learn to make it in a way that you love it. It's no different than when I talk to you about coffee and how important coffee is. And coffee is also good for you. It's got antioxidants in it and polyphenols, and it's got that caffeine. Caffeine is great. Too much caffeine. Hello, the American way. Sometimes we overdo stuff, but just the right amount of coffee, maybe 2 cups a day has shown to be very beneficial to you. And this tea is the same way. So as long as you're not putting a bunch of crap into your tea and into your coffee, really consider drinking, your mate, green tea. There's a ton of different teas, especially if you do look at peak tea. There's a ton of different flavors that do different things for you, but get yourself into that kind of a beverage instead of, just the plain old water, which you've got to have plenty of, but incorporating those kind of things into your daily diet could yield positive benefits above and beyond weight loss, but also health in general. Okay, so I want to talk to you about a couple of acronyms that are really important for you to understand where the calories that you consume, where they go in a day. So in order for me to just be very simple, let's just say you need 2,000 calories a day to maintain your weight. So you eat 2,000 calories. Where do those 2,000 calories go, right? So let's talk about that. It's kind of interesting. So we've got 4 different acronyms, and the first one is EAT, ironically. EAT stands for exercise, activity, thermogenesis, and that's literally the workouts or the activity that you plan to do. So for me this morning, I did my 20-minute workout, and that was my EAT. And it was a 20-minute workout. And so I'm going to be honest, it was probably a 200 to 300 calorie effort. And so that is 200 to 300 calories. If it takes me about 2,000 calories to maintain my weight, then I'm looking at just a little bit over 10% of the calories that I consume this day is going toward my exercise. That's that. Wow. And I'm telling you, when I exercise, I put in a lot of effort. So 200 to 300 calories is great. But then I'm not the person that goes to the gym and spends 45 minutes to an hour killing myself either, which could be 500 to 600 calories, which is obviously more like 20%. So you could really work really, really hard on your exercise and be able to have more calories in the day to maintain that. So keep that in mind. But your EAT or your EAT is the exercise that you do. And generally speaking, if you look at the averages, it's about 10% of the calories that you consume in a day to help you maintain your weight. Okay. So the next one is a NEAT, and it's the non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And the fascinating thing is, and I want you guys to hold on to your britches, because this is so cool. NEAT is something that can help you burn up to 800 calories more a day if you're really conscious of it. So here we are with the EAT, the exercise that we do, that's going to get you anywhere from, let's just say on average, 400 calories. Here, the NEAT, which is the non-exercise things that you do, especially fidgeting, that can help you burn up to 800 calories a day. Now, I'm talking serious fidgeting here. We're not talking about just, sitting at your desk all day and literally twiddling your thumbs. This is which now you're going to watch me. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're going to see me really use my hands and stuff, because this is the movement that you need to do. So where are you right now listening to this podcast? Are you in your car? If you are, tap your fingers on the steering wheel, kind of move your shoulders and dance a little bit. That's neat. If you're walking or running or doing something like that, good for you. I'm proud of you. But we want to increase our NEAT throughout the day. And so this is why you have heard me say forever, always take the stairs, because I want you to increase your NEAT. Does that make sense? Because when you do simple things like that, instead of taking the elevator or the escalator, you actually take the stairs. This isn't planned exercise. This is just movement. If you happen to be someone that sits at a desk all day, consider getting a standing desk, because your NEAT is going to be higher. Or if you sit, stand up for a little while and you're on the phone, walk around your desk and get a little bit more movement in. You've heard everybody say you should always park at the very back of the parking lot and walk up to the store. And that's a great idea, because that increases your NEAT. When people calculate their steps, they're really talking about, again, that non-exercise activity. And that is about 10 to 15% of your calories. So your NEAT actually usually burns more than your exercise activity. So I'm not saying that exercise isn't important. It's incredibly important. It's great for, which we're going to talk about here in a second, muscle. It's great for your lungs. It's great for, bone density and to have a clear mind. Exercise is so important for so many reasons. But you also hear these days that it's really not the best thing to do for weight loss, because when you look at the grand scheme of things of where your calories go that you consume in a day, it's really not your exercise. So we have eat, we have NEAT, and now we're going to talk about TEF, or the thermic effect of food. And that's pretty fascinating in and of itself, because when you ingest food, how hard is it? How much effort, how much work does it take for your body to break it down? And so this is where we really get into the macronutrients, and we talk about that. So again, I'll have a study for you where these numbers come from, but the thermic effect of food for carbohydrates, fats, and proteins are different. And so let me explain these to you, and you'll be like, oh, I didn't know this, which is another reason why us women really need to make sure that we're getting an adequate amount of protein. Remember the M.A.D.E diet? M.A.D.E diet, A, adequate protein. And no, A is adequate fat. I don't even know my own acronym. Moderate protein, adequate fat, decreased carbs. So you're getting your moderate protein every single day. A lot of us kind of fall a little bit short when it comes to protein. But let's talk about it. So let's first start with fats. So fats, which to me show that this is how important fat is for the body, especially the brain. It is the most important nutrient that you can take for brain health, is to eat your healthy fats. So don't you dare for 1 second, when I talk to you about the thermic effect of food, do you think that you need to pull back on your fat because it's different than your carbohydrates and your protein? It is essential. It is vital for hormones. It is so important for the brain and cell health, everything. Okay. So please don't misconstrue this as you need to cut back on your fat. But when it comes to your body breaking down fat, which goes to show that we're meant to eat it because your body does such a good job. It does such a great, wonderful job of breaking it down and utilizing it. It's anywhere from 5 to 15% of the calories. So say, for instance, that you eat 100 calories of fat. It's going to take about 5 to 15 calories for your body to break that down for calories. So the calories burned to eat it is 5 to 15%, or 5 to 15 calories if we're talking 100 calories of fat. Now, keep in mind, it's usually at the lower end of that. It's most likely closer to that 5 than the 10 to 15, but it can go up to 15% depending on the type of fat that you eat. Okay, so fat is about 5 to 15. Some people will say 2 to 3%, but when I did my actual research and studies, I saw that it was 5 to 15, but closer to 5. Okay. Carbohydrates are about the same. They're about 5 to 15% of the calories per 100 calories are actually burned digesting it. And it is closer to the 15%. So fat and carbs, on a range are about the same, but fat is at the lower range where carbohydrates are at the higher range. Okay. So you're going to burn more calories eating carbohydrates than you do fat. And then there's the almighty protein. Protein is 20 to 30%. And I'm going to say it leans closer to that 30% of your calories burned to break down that protein in that 100 calories. So say, for instance, you eat here goes math skills with Melissa. Be patient with me. So say you have a chicken breast that is 300 calories. Well, I think I'm going to get it right. You guys can tell me in the show notes below if I'm wrong. About 90 of those 300 calories are going to be burned breaking down that protein. Isn't that amazing? So here we go. You have this, and this is why I can't stress enough how you have to eat such a wide range of proteins and different carbohydrates and different fats. The better your variety of healthy foods are, the healthier you're going to be. But you need a good amount of protein. So not only is protein incredibly satiating, along with fats, they're going to keep you just feeling full so you don't think about it all the time. Don't tell me you don't eat a huge bowl of popcorn and the bowl of popcorn is gone before you get the sensation that you're full. And for me, we're talking, I can buy a huge tub of large popcorn at a movie and I can eat it all by myself. And then you could say, let's go for dessert. And I'd be like, cool. There's no, I'm full sensation with sheer carbohydrates. But with fats and proteins, there are, especially protein. So not only do you get that feeling of satiety for hours on end, but you're also burning a lot of calories just breaking down that protein in and of itself. So hopefully I convinced you that you need to track enough and long enough to know that you're getting the right amount of protein for you. And like I've said in previous podcasts, for some of you, that's going to be about 20% of your calories in a day. And some of you will probably be up to 35%, which equals about a gram per pound that you want to weigh because you're trying to put on muscle mass. So you want a good amount of protein in your diet. And so when you are counting calories, which is another reason why counting calories in and of themselves isn't super accurate, because it takes calories to break down the calories that you eat. So it's just really complex, but I want you to keep that in mind. And the more wholesome a food is, the better the breakdown of that food is going to be. And the more you're going to be able to utilize everything that is in it. Okay, so that's the thermic effect of food. And then the last one is, like your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, just what it takes to keep you alive. So we have EAT, which let's just say it's 10%. We have NEAT, let's say it's 15%. And then we have, the thermic effect of food, which on average is about 10% of the calories total. So, everything else is just for you to survive, so that your heart beats for you, and so that your brain and your eyes and your voice, everything functions for you, is your basal metabolic rate, and the calories that you bring in go to these places to make sure that you can do all the things. So fascinating to me. And keep in mind that your BMR is something that can change. And that comes from when you lose weight, number one, just know that your BMR will also lower a little bit. So if you happen to reach that plateau, there's a chance that you've lost some weight. And so your body kind of reset itself and it goes, I don't need as many calories to maintain. So there has to be a little bit of a pullback again in order for you to continue to lose. That's fact. But you can raise that BMR, the basal metabolic rate, by lifting those heavy things in your house or at the gym. And by lifting those really heavy things, you are going to increase muscle mass, which will increase your basal metabolic rate. Muscle, and plenty of it, takes a lot of energy to maintain and to use. And so I told you this wasn't going to be about calorie counting or exercising, but you can't, run into the thought of losing weight without talking about NEAT, EAT, TEF, and your basal metabolic rate, which lifting weights really helps you kind of have an advantage there in that aspect. So I want to close this off by talking to you about supplementation. But the first, and I'm not going to go into any detail about this whatsoever, because I want you to understand that if you're not sleeping well, if you're not hydrating, if you're not managing your stress, if you are not eating good quality, wholesome food, and you're not getting in your exercise or plenty of meat every single day, none of that matters. You are wasting your energy on supplementation that, has shown to help just a little bit in your fat loss efforts. But if you ain't doing any of the other stuff, you are, you're literally saying, here, supplement company, take my money. I really don't want to lose weight. I really don't want to be healthy. I just want to give you my money. So you have to get all of this other stuff under control. And then you are like, I am on point, and I just want to have the slightest, tiniest advantage in my weight loss and fat loss efforts. Then, and I will later on probably really go into supplementation for performance and for, fat loss and for energy and brain cognition and all that stuff. But right now, I'm just going to speak of them, and you can do your own research. The first one is L-Glutamine, has been shown to give you that slight advantage. The next one is CLA. And then the third one is acetyl L-carnitine. I'll say those again: L-Glutamine, CLA, and acetyl L-carnitine. Those three, I'm sure all of those hot bodybuilders probably take those, but they eat like a champ. Hopefully they sleep well. Hopefully they're managing their stress. They're exercising a lot. And it's something like this, along with caffeine, which, kind of takes me back to full circle to drinking healthier beverages that have caffeine, amongst other things like antioxidants and polyphenols in them that can also help with weight loss and fat loss. So to sum it up, we talked about ways to give you just a slight edge when it comes to, your weight loss and your fat loss efforts, above and beyond, watching your calorie intake, watching your quality of food and all that stuff. It is your EAT, which is your exercise activity, the things that you do intentionally, your NEAT, which is the non-exercise activity, your fidgeting. My son sits there and it drives me crazy, but I'm going to stop complaining about it because it's probably keeping him pretty fit. He's the kid that just constantly, I'm doing it right now. It actually feels kind of good. I think I'll keep doing it. It's just, you have to grab his knee. You're like, would you stop that? Right at dinner table, the dinner table's shaking because he's shaking his leg. The thermic effect of food. Keep in mind that fats are the least. They take the least amount of effort to break down, but they are essential to your health. Carbohydrates, which are a little bit higher, closer to 10 to 15%, where fat is about 5%. And then you've got protein, which can be as low as 20 to up to 30% of those calories actually go into the digesting of them, which is mind-blowing. And your basal metabolic rate, which will drop as you lose weight and get down to the healthy weight that you want to be if you're on that journey. So the calorie intake, or your NEAT will have to go up, or your EAT will have to go up, right? Or you'll have to eat more protein. Don't overdo it. And then using strength training to help keep that BMR a little bit higher, because that muscle takes a lot of energy to maintain. So I hope that was helpful to you. I promise that, I also have, I don't know if this will come out before the podcast that I did with a good friend of mine who's a supplement expert. So that's coming up. You're going to learn all about, you hear everybody saying, oh, you need to take this supplement, or you need to take this supplement, vitamin D, you need to take zinc, you need to take magnesium, you need to take a probiotic. It's like, she helps break that down. Why? And we actually had to do 2 parts. She's such a smart lady, and it was so informative. But I promise I will also, whether it's just me or if I can find an expert to bring on about supplementation to help aid in your weight loss and fat loss efforts, I've got my eyes peeled. If there's anybody you think that I should interview, please let me know. So that's another episode of the Melissa M.A.D.E Show, helping you with a little bit of weight/fat loss. And I will see you, or listen, hear, speak to you soon. Wow, we've reached the end. But before I leave you, I'd love to hear from you. After all, it's not every day that someone reaches out and asks for your opinion. And to me, your opinion does matter. So please share this episode with anyone that you think needs to hear this message. And remember to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. My name is Melissa McAllister. And until next time, thank you for being your own health advocate.